Okay, everybody, welcome to the Boostly podcast, where I like to give hosts just like you the tools, the tactics, the training, and the confidence to get more bookings. I've got some special little videos to show you. So over about a month ago, I interviewed Brian and Kati from Overlooked to Overbooked. And a large part of the reason why you aren't getting bookings is because you aren't trying to appeal to your ideal guest. And there's so many ways that you are missing out on some things that you don't even realize. Number one, it could be your pictures, it could be the terminology that you're using, it could be a certain rearrangement of photographs on your listings. So I wanted to take this Zoom call that we did with Brian and Kati, part of my coaching group, and I wanted to break it down into little segments, and I wanted to post it in the daily podcast because it was so good. It's so good. So please do go and check out Brian and Kati from Overlooked to Overbooked. Go do a Google search for them and really pay attention to what you're going to get access to here in these short little daily segments of the Boostly podcast. I would love to know your feedback when you're listening and watching this. So leave a comment below at mark@boostly.co.uk or at boostlyuk on all of the socials. But for now, I'm going to just flip my screen. You're going to see Brian and Kati from Overlooked to Overbooked talking about customer avatar, photos, and all of the above. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another episode.
So here's how you would start to think about and take this exercise and think about your listing.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Boostly podcast. Boostly like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely. If you want my respect, you better put direct. Here are the words in the podcast, that's what comes next.
So again, host-centric versus guest-centric. Start thinking like the guest. I know hosts have a million things in your mind, and I understand, of course you do, like insurance and what if like somebody trashes my plays and my calendars and I have double bookings. But occasionally it's good to step out of that and just try to be the guest. And you could go up and down this ladder going from the intangible stuff. So for example, in Nice, my feeling of zen, of tranquility, or if you have a place where it's kind of exciting, like, oh, I can't wait to get to somewhere, or you have an adventure to offer, or the location does, to the very tangible stuff. So the rooftop view and the balcony and the espresso and the breakfast setup. And the way these actually relate to the listings is the intangible stuff is easier to describe in the copy, right? Because it's tough to photograph tranquility. You can, but it's more difficult. So the tangible stuff is what you photograph. That becomes your photos. And then with the copy, you sort of amplify that. So you have a gorgeous view from the balcony. Say it in the captions, right? Enjoy this gorgeous view from the balcony and the feeling of zen or something like that. You translate both of those things from your ladder into stuff in your listing. So then, Brian.
So I want to piggyback on that for 1 second. There was a study done, and it was of an auto mechanic shop, and they had a tagline that says, "You can trust us to do a good job." That was their slogan. When they did surveys of people's opinions about the various mechanics in town, people trusted that guy 33% more than everybody else, just because he said that. Like, so it sounds cheesy sometimes to talk about how relaxing or tranquil or amazing a view is, but actually putting it in words, it does do what Kati says. It amplifies, it makes it more front and center, and it makes it more real in the person's mind. Okay, You can go back.
Yeah, exactly. So all this stuff is our way of getting into your avatar, getting to your avatar. So we start from the inside out, from your listing. What do you have? And then go into your avatar.
So most of you will recognize this from The Princess Bride. He says, "Why didn't you list that among our assets in the first place?" He's talking about the wheelbarrow because they forgot to mention that they have a wheelbarrow for their attack on the castle. And this is my way of saying, when you can talk about what your guest avatar is, but you're not doing that in a vacuum. You're doing that as a function of what do you have to offer? What are you starting with? And so this is Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues. Manute Bol was 7'6", Muggsy Bogues was 5'3". So for centimeters, that's 229 versus 160. But you can imagine if you wanted to play in the NBA, you'd be better off starting off as Manute Bol at 7'6", right? But Muggsy Bogues did make the NBA, so he had to do he had become better at dribbling and better at other aspects of the game. And so we're basically just recognizing the fact that everyone's rental is starting out from a different place. We're not all at the same starting gate.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Bruce Lee podcast. Bruce Lee like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.